Too often, many of us spend the later years of our lives waiting for the children to call, waiting for family visits, waiting for people to show up in ways they rarely do. But life after 60 should not be about waiting. It should be about living. It's not the end of the story. It's the beginning of a chapter that belongs entirely to you. The truth is, family may love you, but they cannot be your only anchor. If you keep waiting for their approval, their attention, or their presence, you'll miss out on the greatest years of your own freedom. After 60, it's time to build a new foundation, one that carries your spirit, your joy, and your purpose. For much of our lives, we are conditioned to believe that our sense of happiness, stability, and identity must be tied to others. As children, we depend on our parents. As adults, we pour ourselves into raising families, nurturing children, and supporting partners. By the time we cross 60, many of us still carry that belief that our emotional world must revolve around who shows up for us, who calls, who visits, and who cares enough to make space in their lives for us. But the truth is, this belief keeps us trapped in cycles of waiting, disappointment, and loneliness. Emotional independence is not about rejecting love from others. It is about learning to generate joy, peace, and validation from within so that your life does not feel small when others are absent. Emotional independence begins with the art of sitting with yourself. For many, silence feels uncomfortable because it exposes the emptiness we have filled with distractions for decades. But silence is not a void. It is a mirror. It reflects back to you the parts of yourself that have long been ignored, neglected, or silenced. When you sit with yourself through journaling, prayer, meditation, or simply a quiet walk in nature, you begin to hear your own voice again. That voice is not the echo of what family or society expects from you. It is your raw truth. It says, this is who I am, this is what I feel, this is what I need. Developing this inner dialogue is the foundation of emotional independence. It transforms solitude from being a punishment into being a sanctuary. Another aspect of emotional independence is self-validation. Too often, people measure their worth by how much attention they receive from family. If the children call often, they feel loved. If they don't, they feel forgotten. But self-worth cannot be built on someone else's behavior. It must come from an unshakable belief that your life has value. Whether or not anyone else acknowledges it in the moment, you can practice self-validation by celebrating small wins, honoring your resilience, and reflecting on the obstacles you have already overcome. Remind yourself you have lived decades, carried burdens, and built strength that no one else may ever fully see or understand. That in itself is proof of your worthiness. Building emotional independence also means cultivating healthy routines that sustain you regardless of who is around. When your days have structure, meaning, and intention, you do not feel like you are merely waiting for someone to visit or call. You are living. This could mean starting mornings with gentle exercise, dedicating afternoons to learning something new, or ending evenings with reflective practices like gratitude journaling. These routines give rhythm to your life and prevent the emotional roller coaster that comes from expecting others to dictate your happiness. Think of these practices as emotional anchors, rituals that keep you steady when external relationships ebb and flow. At the core of emotional independence lies the ability to manage your emotions without projecting them onto others. It's natural to feel disappointment when family members don't prioritize us, but holding on to that disappointment can turn into bitterness. Emotional independence allows you to process those feelings without being consumed by them. Instead of saying, They don't care about me. You shift the perspective to, I wish they were more present, but their absence will not define my joy. This doesn't mean you deny your emotions. It means you refuse to let those emotions control your entire outlook. Mastering this balance is one of the most powerful freedoms you can give yourself after 60. Finally, emotional independence opens the door to new forms of love. When you are no longer desperate for others to fill your emotional gaps, you create space for genuine, healthy connections to emerge. You become a magnet for people who appreciate you not for what you demand from them, but for the calm, grounded presence you offer. Relationships, whether with family, friends, or new acquaintances, become sweeter because they are no longer burdened with the weight of your unmet needs. You are free to love fully without fear of abandonment, and free to receive love without feeling like your existence depends on it. Emotional independence, then, is not isolation, it is liberation. It is the realization that you are whole on your own, and that any love or attention you receive from others is a beautiful addition, not a requirement for your survival. For many people after 60, the most painful realization is that family is not always available in the way we imagined. Children grow busy with careers, grandchildren are absorbed in their own worlds, and siblings may live far away or be consumed by their own struggles. While family ties can remain meaningful, relying solely on them for companionship and fulfillment often leads to feelings of neglect or disappointment. This is where chosen connections become essential. Chosen connections are relationships that you consciously build outside the circle of family, grounded in shared values, mutual respect, and genuine care. They remind us that love and belonging do not have to be confined to bloodlines. They can be discovered, nurtured, and cherished in unexpected places. Cultivating chosen connections begins with stepping into environments where new bonds can naturally grow. Many people over 60 hesitate to put themselves in new social settings, believing they are too old to start fresh. But the truth is, the human need for companionship does not expire with age. Joining a community center, enrolling in a book club, attending art or music classes, or volunteering for a cause you care about are powerful ways to meet like-minded people. These spaces not only offer activities that enrich your day, but they also create opportunities for genuine conversations. Over time, these conversations can blossom into friendships that bring energy and warmth to your life. Chosen connections are planted like seeds. You have to place yourself in fertile ground for them to grow. One of the strengths of chosen connections is that they are intentional. Unlike family ties, which we are born into, these relationships are built through conscious effort. You choose to reach out, you choose to listen, you choose to invest time, and the other person does the same in return. This mutual commitment often creates relationships that feel lighter and freer because they are based not on obligation, but on desire. There is a profound beauty in knowing that someone spends time with you not because they have to, but because they genuinely want to. That difference alone can make chosen connections some of the most healing relationships of your later years. Another important aspect of cultivating chosen connections is diversity. Family often shares the same cultural background, traditions, and perspectives. Chosen connections, on the other hand, allow you to broaden your world. You may find yourself sharing tea with a neighbor from a different country, walking with a friend decades younger who teaches you about new technologies, or bonding with someone who has lived a completely different life story. These interactions expand your perspective, keep your mind sharp, and bring color into your days. They remind you that life after 60 is not about shrinking into a smaller world. It is about expanding into one that still holds endless possibilities. Of course, cultivating chosen connections requires vulnerability. Many people fear reaching out because they worry about rejection or about seeming needy. But vulnerability is not weakness. It is the courage to open your heart and trust that others may meet you there. A simple invitation for coffee, a genuine compliment, or a word of encouragement can be the beginning of a new friendship. It is important to remember that not every attempt will lead to a deep connection, and that's perfectly fine. Just as not every seed grows into a tree, not every conversation grows into a lifelong bond. The key is persistence, patience, and openness. The more you show up authentically, the more likely you are to attract people who resonate with your spirit. Finally, chosen connections provide one of the greatest gifts of later life: reciprocal care. When you build friendships outside of family, you create networks of support that are both practical and emotional. These friends can celebrate your joys, walk with you through challenges, and remind you that you are never truly alone, and you, in turn, offer them the same. There is dignity in being able to give as much as you receive. Too often, older adults feel like they are only waiting to be helped. But chosen connections transform that narrative. They allow you to stay active in giving love, wisdom, and presence, while also receiving the companionship and empathy that sustain your spirit. These bonds are proof that after 60, you do not have to wait for family to show up. You can actively build a circle of belonging that nourishes you every single day. After 60, health becomes the foundation upon which everything else rests. Without it, passions fade, connections weaken, and independence shrinks. Too often, people see health only as a medical checklist: blood pressure, sugar levels, medications. But health is much more than avoiding illness. It is the key to freedom. It is the energy to get up in the morning with purpose, the strength to walk without relying on others, the clarity to make decisions, and the resilience to face challenges. To prioritize health is to reclaim power, because no matter how much family or friends may care for you, your daily well-being is ultimately shaped by the choices you make for your body, mind, and spirit. The first step in prioritizing health is reframing what it means to age. Too many people resign themselves to decline, believing that weakness, fatigue, and dependence are inevitable. While aging does bring change, it does not have to mean surrender. Science continues to show that movement, nutrition, and mental stimulation can dramatically improve quality of life, even in the later decades. Think of health not as chasing youth, but as maximizing vitality. A body in motion stays capable, a mind engaged stays sharp, a spirit nourished stays alive. The mindset shift from "I'm too old to care" to "I deserve to thrive" is itself a powerful act of health. Movement, in particular, is medicine. After 60, exercise is not about building muscles for vanity. It is about preserving independence. Every step you take strengthens bones, improves balance, and protects you from falls. Walking daily, practicing gentle yoga, swimming, or even dancing in your living room can transform your energy. Exercise also fuels mental health, releasing endorphins that combat anxiety and depression. The key is consistency, not intensity. You don't need to run marathons. You just need to keep moving. Each time you choose movement over stagnation, you are not only strengthening your body, you are reclaiming your freedom to live on your own terms. Nutrition is another cornerstone of health. After 60, your body becomes more sensitive to what you feed it. Processed foods, excess sugar, and heavy meals may drag you down, while balanced meals with vegetables, lean proteins, whole grains, and healthy fats sustain your energy. Eating well is not about restriction. It is about fueling your life. It is about sitting at the table and knowing that each bite is an investment in tomorrow's vitality. And while food nourishes the body, it also nourishes the spirit. Sharing meals with others, trying new recipes, or simply enjoying fresh fruit in silence can be moments of joy that connect health to pleasure rather than sacrifice. Health also extends beyond the physical. It is deeply tied to the mind. Cognitive decline is not an unavoidable destiny. It can be slowed and even prevented through stimulation and practice. Reading daily, learning a new skill, solving puzzles, or engaging in meaningful conversations keeps the brain active. Equally important is emotional health of stress, bitterness, and loneliness can harm the body as much as poor diet or inactivity. Practicing gratitude, journaling, or simply allowing yourself to laugh are not luxuries. They are medicines for the soul. After 60, protecting your peace of mind is as vital as protecting your bones and heart. Finally, prioritizing health is an act of self-respect. It is a declaration that your life matters enough to care for. Too often, people sacrifice their health for family, giving until their own bodies collapse. But true love for others is also expressed in caring for yourself. When you are strong, clear-headed, and energized, you can give more meaningfully, connect more deeply, and live more fully. Prioritizing health is not selfish, it is generous. It ensures that you remain not just present, but vibrant for the people and experiences that truly matter. Health is not just survival, it is the power to live with dignity, joy, and independence well into your later years. One of the most overlooked truths of life after 60 is that passion and purpose are not reserved for the young. Too often, society whispers that after retirement or after raising a family, your role is simply to rest, step back, and fade quietly into the background. But purpose is not bound by age. It is bound by spirit. When you stop chasing only what others need from you and begin asking, what still sets my soul on fire? You unlock a new chapter of freedom. Passion is not about business or productivity. It is about joy. Purpose is not about achievement. It is about meaning. Together, they give direction to your days and make you feel alive again. For many, reigniting passion starts with remembering what once lit them up. As children or young adults, you may have loved painting, writing, gardening, singing, or building things. Over time, those desires were often buried under responsibilities, jobs, bills, family obligations. But the embers never disappear. Take time to ask yourself, what did I once love that I have ignored? What have I always wanted to try but never dared? Sometimes passion returns by revisiting the old, other times it awakens through discovering something new. Picking up a brush, planting a flower, or joining a dance class at 65 can feel like a homecoming, reminding you that joy was always waiting for you. Purpose, on the other hand, goes deeper. It answers the question, why am I here, and how do I want to leave my mark? Purpose is not limited to grand legacies or career milestones. It can be as simple as mentoring a younger person, sharing stories with grandchildren, teaching a neighbor a skill, or volunteering in your community. Purpose is about contribution, about knowing that your presence matters in the lives of others. After 60, when society often tries to label you as less relevant, embracing purpose is an act of rebellion. It is standing tall and saying, I still have something to give, and the world is richer because of it. Reigniting passion and purpose also means embracing curiosity. Curiosity is the bridge between routine and adventure. When you allow yourself to ask, what if You open doors to experiences that keep your spirit young. Maybe it's traveling to a new city, learning photography, exploring history, or even experimenting with cooking dishes from different cultures. Curiosity breeds excitement into daily life and prevents stagnation. And the best part, it does not require perfection. You don't have to be the best painter, the best writer, or the best gardener. You only have to enjoy the act itself. Curiosity is the invitation, passion is the reward. At this stage of life, passion and purpose are also medicines for loneliness and despair. When your days are filled with activities and goals that excite you, you stop measuring your worth by how often others call or visit. Instead, you wake up eager to engage with life itself. You begin to see yourself not as a passive participant waiting for others to bring meaning, but as an active creator of joy. This shift is profound. Loneliness shrinks, bitterness fades, and self-confidence grows. Passion makes you radiant. Purpose makes you resilient. Together, they transform how you experience aging. Finally, reigniting passion and purpose requires giving yourself permission. Many older adults feel guilty for focusing on themselves as if joy is a luxury they can no longer afford. But joy is not selfish, it is fuel. It gives you the strength to show up fully for the people and causes you care about. It proves that your story is still unfolding and that it deserves to be vibrant. Whether your passion is creating, learning, teaching, or simply exploring, and whether your purpose is touching one life or many, know this: after 60, you are not too late. You are right on time. Every day you invest in passion and purpose is a day you reclaim your right to live fully, not just exist. After 60, one of the most important foundations for peace of mind is financial security. It's not about chasing wealth or competing with others. It's about creating stability so you can live with dignity, freedom, and choice. Too often, people in their later years feel trapped by money, worrying about outliving savings, fearing dependence on children, or regretting financial decisions from the past. But the good news is, no matter where you are, it is never too late to take control of your financial story. Financial security is less about how much you have and more about how wisely you manage it. Building clarity, simplicity, and sustainability around money gives you the confidence to live on your terms instead of waiting for others to decide for you. The first step is awareness. Many people avoid looking closely at their finances because it feels overwhelming or even shameful. But ignoring the truth only adds to the anxiety. Take time to sit down and examine your income, savings, expenses, and debts. Write it out clearly so you know exactly where you stand. Awareness is power. It transforms vague fears into manageable steps. Even if the numbers are not what you hoped, clarity allows you to make intentional choices instead of being controlled by uncertainty. In fact, people who face their financial reality head-on often feel immediate relief because what seemed impossible suddenly becomes navigable. Once you have awareness, the next step is simplification. At this stage of life, complexity often creates unnecessary stress. Simplification may mean downsizing to a smaller home, cutting out unused subscriptions, or focusing spending on what truly matters to you. It can also mean organizing your financial accounts so they are easier to manage, or automating bill payments to reduce worry. Simplification is not about sacrifice. It is about aligning your resources with your values. Ask yourself, what brings me peace? What brings me joy? Then remove the financial clutter that does neither. This way, your money becomes a tool for comfort and happiness rather than a source of chaos. Another key aspect of building financial security is creating multiple streams of stability. For some, this might include a pension, retirement savings, or rental income. For others, it could mean part-time work, freelancing, or monetizing a skill you already have. At 60 and beyond, the world is more open to flexible work opportunities than ever before, especially with technology. Teaching online, consulting, crafting, or even offering services in your community can provide not just extra income, but also purpose and social engagement. The goal isn't to work endlessly, it's to create enough financial flow that you feel safe, empowered, and free from fear. Equally important is setting boundaries around money in relationships. Many older adults feel pressured to financially support children or grandchildren, even when it puts their own stability at risk. While generosity is beautiful, true love does not mean sacrificing your well-being to the point of struggle. Financial boundaries protect not only you, but also your relationships by preventing resentment and dependence. Saying no to requests you cannot afford is not selfish, it is responsible. Your priority is to ensure you remain independent and secure, so you are not forced into situations of reliance or hardship later on. Boundaries create dignity, both for you and for those you love. Finally, building financial security after 60 is about legacy, not just what you leave behind, but how you live today. When your finances are stable, you can say yes to experiences that enrich your life, whether that's travel, hobbies, learning, or simply enjoying a peaceful lifestyle. Financial freedom means choosing how you spend your time rather than being dictated by scarcity or worry. And beyond experiences, financial security also gives you the power to shape how you'll be remembered. It allows you to plan your affairs clearly, reduce burdens on loved ones, and leave behind not just money, but also the example of wisdom and responsibility. On your terms, financial security becomes more than numbers. It becomes a foundation of freedom, choice, and peace. When people think of legacy, they often imagine wills, inheritances, or material possessions left behind for family. But a true legacy is not built only after you are gone. It is created while you are still alive. A living legacy is the imprint you leave on the world every single day through your actions, your wisdom, and your presence. After 60, this idea becomes more powerful than ever. You have decades of experiences, lessons, and stories that no one else can replicate. A living legacy is not about how much money you leave. It is about how you continue to shape the lives of others through what you give of yourself right now. The first step to building a living legacy is to recognize the value of your story. Too often, older adults underestimate the power of their lived experiences, but your challenges, your triumphs, your failures, and your resilience hold wisdom that others desperately need. Writing your memoirs, recording family stories, or even sharing reflections in community groups are ways to ensure that your journey doesn't fade into silence. Younger generations may not ask often, but they need the lessons only you can offer. By putting your story into words, you preserve not only your history, but also the resilience and courage embedded within it. This is a gift no amount of money could replace. Another part of a living legacy is teaching and mentoring. You may not realize how much your knowledge matters until you see how it shapes someone else's path. Whether it's teaching a grandchild how to cook, showing a neighbor how to fix something, guiding a younger coworker in their career, or volunteering in schools and community programs, your wisdom becomes a seed planted in another's life. Long after you are gone, the skills, values, and confidence you shared will continue to ripple outward. A living legacy is not measured in monuments, but in the quiet ways your guidance strengthens others. Beyond knowledge, a living legacy is also built through kindness and presence. Think about the people who influenced your own life the most. Chances are it was not always their wealth or their achievements, but how they made you feel seen, heard, and valued. By offering empathy, encouragement, and compassion, you can profoundly impact those around you. Sometimes a conversation over tea, a listening ear during someone's struggle, or a warm smile to a stranger can leave impressions that outlast lifetimes. Small acts of kindness are the threads that weave your legacy into the fabric of the world. Creativity is another powerful form of legacy. Many people in their later years discover or rediscover the joy of creating. Whether it's art, music, writing, crafts, or gardening, the things you make become part of what you leave behind. A painting passed to a friend, a quilt made for a child, a poem published online, or a garden that blooms every spring, all of these outlive the moment of creation. They serve as reminders that your hands, heart, and imagination contributed beauty to the world. Through creativity, you not only leave behind objects, but also inspiration for others to keep creating. Finally, a living legacy is about courage. Courage to live fully until the end. Too many people spend their later years waiting for others to visit, waiting for time to pass, waiting for life to fade. But a true legacy is not built in waiting, it is built in action. By choosing to live with vitality, passion, and independence, you show others what it means to embrace aging with dignity. You become an example of resilience, joy, and strength. And that example, your way of living, not just what you leave, becomes your greatest legacy. Long after you are gone, people will remember not only what you did, but how you lived. And in that way, your life itself becomes your most enduring gift. Life after 60 is not a season of waiting. It is a season of becoming. Too many people spend these years hoping for family to fill their emptiness, to give them purpose, or to keep them company. But the truth is, your life was never meant to be defined by who shows up for you. It is meant to be defined by how fully you show up for yourself when you build emotional independence. You free yourself from the weight of disappointment. When you cultivate chosen connections, you expand your circle of love and belonging. When you prioritize your health, you reclaim the power to live with dignity and vitality. When you reignite passion and purpose, you remind yourself that joy and meaning never expire. When you build financial security on your terms, you create stability and freedom that no one can take away. And when you choose to leave a living legacy, you prove that your life matters. Not someday, not in memory, but right here and right now. This chapter of your life is not the end of the book. It is the crown of it. Every choice you make today is a declaration. I am still here. I am still growing. I am still alive with possibility. So stop waiting. Stop shrinking. Stop believing the lie that your best days are behind you. Your best days are the ones you decide to create today and tomorrow. The foundations you build after 60 are not just for survival, they are for freedom, joy, and meaning. This is not the time to fade. It is the time to shine.